Hello everyone, and welcome to today's Amtrak Vacations webinar on hot products now available for 2018. Let me begin by introducing myself. My name is Andrew Channell. I'm actually the Director of Product here at Amtrak Vacations, and I want to thank you for taking the time to sit down today and learn about some of these exciting new vacation products that we have available, allowing you to experience all of the best of America by train. Also wanted to mention today that one lucky person will be winning a $100 Amtrak Vacations gift card at the end of the presentation, good to put towards any of our Amtrak Vacations trips. Also, please stay tuned for some exclusive discounts for attendees. And I did want to take a moment to, again, thank everybody for taking the time to join me today and learn a little bit more about Amtrak Vacations and what's going to be really, really popular in the coming year. So one place I like to begin every discussion about exciting Amtrak Vacations products is to talk a little bit about why Amtrak Vacations. Why would you do an Amtrak Vacations trip? And there's a number of really, really good reasons, but I'm going to hit on about the most popular ones right now. So first off, for so many people, it's a bucket list experience. Whether it's something that they've always wanted to do their entire life, or it's something they did maybe as a child with parents or grandparents, or just something they've seen as an iconic experience in books or film or what have you, it fills a really special place for most people as something they've always wanted to do. Room to roam. Anybody who's traveled by airline knows that any kind of long distance flight is often a confined and restrictive and, well, let's be honest, not the most comfortable experience. Traveling by Amtrak is a very, very different journey. You have lots of room to get up, stroll the car, stretch your legs, go down in the snack car, grab a drink or something to eat. In some cases, head down to the observation car to take in the scenery in a different way or meet some of the other fellow passengers on board. Less hassle. Again, hate to draw the line to our experience of flying, but getting on an Amtrak train is also a lot easier, a lot less time-consuming, a lot less restrictive. Your baggage allowance is so much more generous, so in so many ways, it's a hassle-free experience. City-to-city service. In most cases, the Amtrak stations are located in the heart of the destinations you're traveling to on your train vacation. So you're getting off right where you want to be. You're getting off in the heart of some of the most exciting spots you could visit in North America, rather than getting off a distance outside of town and getting off and having to travel all the way back in. Really, the whole journey should be part of the vacation from start to finish. And so much time that's lost in just getting to and from the heart of these destinations is not a problem for an Amtrak vacation. Satisfying your hunger. Dining on board Amtrak is a totally different experience than dining on board an airplane. We're not talking about quick little microwave dinners here. We're talking about meals prepared by a chef on board, amazing salads, steak dinners, omelets for breakfast, fantastic desserts. Dining is a very, very fun part of the onboard Amtrak Vacations experience. And flexibility. The reality is our trips can be booked so many different ways. You can book your itinerary with round-trip train tour from your local Amtrak station. You can fly to the beginning or end of your trip. Really the flexibility to get there however you like and start your journey, or the ability to begin from so many other places and times of year. Our trips travel in most cases throughout the entirety of the year, giving you the flexibility to book whenever it best fits your schedule. Now, I had mentioned that with an Amtrak vacation, you have the flexibility to depart from a number of stations. I always like to show this map because it gives people a sense of the possibilities when it comes to traveling by train. Really, you can begin from any of the over 500 local Amtrak stations that we have throughout the country. You can travel round-trip rail to your train vacation, or again, in some cases, folks will fly to or from the start and just view the train portion throughout the middle of the journey itself. It's really up to you, folks, and we're happy to help you either way. As I mentioned, over 500 Amtrak stations to start and end your trip from. And some other exciting features of traveling on Amtrak. I always love this image. There's no middle seat on Amtrak. For those of you who have been on before, you'll know this. For those of you who are new to traveling by Amtrak, there are no middle seats, even traveling in coach. There's only a window and an aisle. It's very comfortable with tons of leg room, lots of elbow room. It's a much more comfortable experience than traveling in an airplane ever could be. No long TSA lines at Amtrak stations. So I mentioned the hassle-free experience of traveling by train. Same thing here. Security is not a long check-in process. You're not standing in line forever just to get into the terminal to wait again to get on your plane. You go straight through. Most guests arrive about half an hour, maybe a little longer before the train departs. It's actually a really easy process. Not spending your days sitting in traffic. Traveling by train, you're sitting back, reading a good book, watching some amazing scenery, relaxing on board, rather than sitting there banging on the horn, wondering if you're ever going to get out of that traffic jam to get onto your vacation. We talked about room to roam, and it's true. There's no need to be confined to your seat. You're free to get up, explore the train, and stretch your legs anytime you want to. It's a very, very comfortable onboard way to travel. One of the other things I also like to call attention to is something that was said to me early on when I first started working in the train industry, and that was, clouds look the same pretty much wherever you go. And this image really kind of captures that. It's the difference of traveling by train is that the journey is part of the holiday. It's not just an incidental necessity to getting to your vacation. It is part of the vacation. Taking in amazing mountain landscapes, beautiful coastal scenery, or even some of the most beautiful cities and developed areas in the country. The journey by train is a part and a very valued part of your vacation. We have a number of different ways you can travel, such as independent rail journeys, which encompass a number of different destinations in one train itinerary. Rail experiences where the focus is very similar to an independent journey, but really more on the journey of the rail itself. So for those of you who really want to take in the most scenic routes they can take on a journey, rail experiences are for you. Family adventures, for all of our family travelers, these focus on family-friendly destinations and experiences. Rail getaways for that quick weekend or short week trip to one particular destination you have in mind by train. Rail and sail combinations where you combine this multimodal form of transportation where you're experiencing the beauty of the train and then beginning or ending with a cruise experience as well. And of course, custom rail journeys. Anything that we have on here is almost entirely customizable. So if there are little adjustments, changes, things we can do for you to make the experience exactly what you want, our vacation consultants are certainly able to do so. While we're on this subject, how to book. So those vacations consultants are available for you anytime. Call us at 1-800-AMTRAK2. That's 1-800-268-7252. You can, of course, visit our website at amtrakvacations.com. Or for those of you who enjoy working with a local travel agent, you can call your local travel agent. We work with them, and they're happy to assist us with booking your vacation. Don't forget, of course, at the end of this presentation as well, to be able to download a copy of your handout. And before the end, there will be a question and answer session where I'll be happy to address many of your questions and help inform you better on your Amtrak Vacations holiday for this coming year. So let's start with one of my favorite itineraries and one that continues to be really, really hot, now available for 2018, is America's National Parks. One of the things I love most about this itinerary is that it allows you to experience 4 of the best national parks in America in one rail journey, as well as taking in the heart of scenic rail sightseeing in this country. You begin with a stay in Denver, where you do an exploration out to Rocky Mountain National Park, taking in some amazing craggy peaks, sprawling forest, and mountain scenery. Then your train journey continues from Denver through the Rocky Mountains. So again, beautiful train journey across. You stop in Grand Junction for 2 nights. From there, you explore 2 of America's most beloved national parks, Arches National Park and Canyonlands National Park, in one full-day tour experience. This landscape is absolutely amazing, folks. You take in both parks on a fully guided tour. The journey to and from is absolutely spectacular in terms of scenery. And the package this year, which I'm really excited to be able to say, also includes a stop at famous Dead Horse Point State Park, which overlooks Canyonlands and provides a really amazing end to that day of sightseeing. From there, you continue on west to Salt Lake City and up to Yellowstone National Park for a 2-day exploration of Yellowstone. While there, you're going to capture all the best of this national park. Of course, Old Faithful, the amazing water features, the wildlife. A Yellowstone National Park journey is absolutely amazing. And when you find it in combination with these other national parks and one of the most beautiful stretches of train sightseeing anywhere in America, it makes for an extremely popular package that is now available for 2018. America's National Parks, a 9-day journey across the heart of America and 4 of the country's greatest national treasures. Now, for those of you looking for amazing mountain scenery in a slightly different part of North America, I highly recommend our Canadian Rockies Discovery Eastbound with Seattle, now available for 2018. This package begins with a 1-night stay in Seattle. And again, quick mention, this journey can begin really from wherever you want it to on the Amtrak system, folks, or you can fly to or from the beginning and end points of this trip. So your 1-night stay in Seattle, before heading up to Canada, you have some time to explore this great city. Included for you is admission to the famous Space Needle with its amazing views of the surrounding area, Elliott Bay, and distant Mount Rainier, as well as admission to the amazing art and garden experience of Chihuly Garden and Glass. You continue north by Amtrak to Vancouver, city surrounded itself by beautiful waters, snow-capped peaks, and an amazing urban setting you get to explore on a hop-on, hop-off tour included for you, as well as an observation area access included at the Vancouver Lookout. Now, after exploring Vancouver for a little bit, you will board Via Rail to head north into the Canadian Rockies. This is another one of the most scenic train journeys in the world. You head out through some amazing farm country as the mountains begin to climb, past several different flowing river valleys, amazing wildlife. I was actually just on this train journey back in April, folks, and I literally woke up the second morning of my trip, opened the window, and I don't think it was 10 seconds before I had deer grazing outside the window as the train rolled by, not to mention bear and moose later in the day. You pass beautiful sights like the amazing Pyramid Falls high in the Canadian Rocky Mountains. It is a breathtaking train journey, folks, on up from Vancouver to the Canadian Rockies. And you can see the beautiful pristine lakes that actually is caused by the clay bed at the bottom of the lake, creates that wonderful emerald color. You'll arrive the second day, so it's an overnight train journey, to Jasper, Alberta. This is a really quaint, rustic mountain town up at the north part of the Canadian Rockies in Alberta. You're there for a couple nights, so you do a scenic sightseeing tour of Jasper National Park itself. So they'll take you out to some amazing parts of the park, Moline Canyon, with its flowing waterfalls, rock formations. Again, wildlife abounds everywhere. When you're in Jasper, at any given time, there are literally elk and deer wandering through the town, not to mention the breathtaking scenery, waterfalls everywhere. Jasper is gorgeous, folks. After you depart Jasper, you continue south, and your journey south to Banff is actually a sightseeing experience in and of itself. The Icefields Parkway you travel down is surrounded by pristine mountain scenery. You'll probably see mountain goats climbing on the side of the cliffs as you're driving by. I sure do every time I've gone this route. And that tour on the way down to Banff also stops, so you get a chance to see a bit of the Columbia Icefields and Athabasca Glacier. And in fact, you'll get on an Ice Explorer vehicle that will take you onto the top of the glacier, and you can stand on top of this glacial experience and really take in the surrounding area. It is absolutely spectacular. Now, once you arrive to Banff, you'll have a chance to experience another amazing mountain town with a different character than Jasper. Lots of great shopping, mountain atmosphere, some great dining, and also with its own beautiful environment. Your included mountains, lakes, and waterfalls tour will take you out throughout Banff National Park, even stopping for a chance to stroll by the shores of Lake Louise, which is a very, very popular destination within the national park. After a couple nights exploring Banff, we'll transfer you back on over to Calgary, where you can pick up your flight home. That's our Canadian Rockies Discovery Eastbound with Seattle package, folks. A very, very popular and amazing journey across the wilderness of North America and into Canada. Now, one thing I like to mention, and I've touched on this point a couple times, is that with Amtrak Vacations, we can customize any rail vacation package to fit your vacation needs. So in any of these itineraries, if you're thinking you'd like to spend some extra time in there in any destination, or you have it in mind to begin or end with something a little bit before or after your trip, start with a trip into California, for example, you can customize any of these. Our vacations consultants are very skilled at finding the exact right vacation for you, and we will be happy to do so. Now, another extremely popular itinerary that is now available for 2018 is our Grand National Parks with Yellowstone, Yosemite, and the Grand Canyon. This itinerary takes in 3 excellent national parks. In fact, you might argue this is the big 3 for most people of bucket list experiences for national parks, because you do get to experience Yellowstone, Yosemite, and Grand Canyon on one itinerary, as well as taking in 3 of the most breathtaking train routes you could want to experience on an Amtrak vacation. Package begins and ends in Chicago. For those of you in that area, that's excellent. And again, we can customize the start point for anybody to begin any part of the Amtrak system they want, or you can, of course, fly in or out of this trip. So you arrive to Chicago, you begin your journey west on an overnight train journey on the very popular California Zephyr train route. This train route, which we also saw featured a little bit in America's National Parks, takes in pretty much every type of scenery you might want to see on a train journey across North America. Passing across the Great Plains, into the Rocky Mountains in Colorado, deserts and salt flats as you cross Utah and Nevada, and eventually, after you've done your Yellowstone experience, through the Sierra Nevadas and on into California. So that train route is amazing. Your first night you travel on board and then arrive at Salt Lake City for a one-night stop. Continuing up to Yellowstone, we transfer you to Yellowstone National Park, where you have the chance to explore all those amazing wonders we had just talked about with America's National Parks. Yellowstone absolutely should be on everybody's bucket list. It's spectacular. You then return to Salt Lake City and pick up the evening departure of the California Zephyr, continuing, as I mentioned, west across Nevada through the Sierras and into San Francisco for a 2-night stay. You have a little time there to explore San Francisco upon arrival. And then day 2, you continue out for a tour out to Yosemite National Park. So we transfer you out to Yosemite National Park. This is a beautiful drive in and of itself. You go through sort of the agricultural heartland of California, through almond country, wine country. You travel east until you hit Yosemite National Park, where you have a chance to explore all of its wonders. The beautiful El Capitan, the sprawling meadows. Yosemite is a wonder, and people are very, very excited about this part of the tour, so I know you'll enjoy it too. After returning to San Francisco for one last night, you reboard the train, in this case on the Coast Starlight route from San Francisco to Los Angeles. The Coast Starlight hugs the coast for most of this journey down to LA and takes in some breathtaking and spectacular coastal scenery. For most people, having experienced just the mountains and the deserts, this is an amazing contrast to that too, because you've seen the soaring peaks and the big sprawling meadows. Now you get a chance to see breathtaking waters from the view of the train. It's an absolutely wonderful journey. You stop for one night in Los Angeles, where we include a tour for you and a chance to do a little sightseeing there in the city itself before you resume your journey east. And then when you continue on, you're boarding your third train, the Southwest Chief, which takes in the best of the Southwest in terms of scenery. Traveling overnight and arriving to Grand Canyon National Park. In reality, you arrive first to Williams, which is this wonderful little Route 66 town. Train stops nearby. You're transferred over to your hotel there, the Grand Canyon Railway Hotel. You're not actually staying there this first night. You're actually there just to go ahead and freshen up, have breakfast, which is included for you, and board a really interesting rail experience called the Grand Canyon Railway. The Grand Canyon Railway is more of a classic Southwest train. It takes a short journey north to the Grand Canyon itself through this amazing stretch of ponderosa pine forest. Little scrubby brushes and pine trees, some wildlife of its own, little craggy little streams and such. It's a beautiful area. And it deposits you right there at the South Rim, where your guided tour picks you up. You whisked all around the South Rim of the park with a guide who's really an expert on the geology and the formation of the canyon, some of the local flora and fauna, as well as the Hopi and other native peoples of the area and some of their traditions about Grand Canyon National Park. A chance to stop and take some amazing photos. Then you return back to the South Rim for your one-night stay there at the South Rim of the park itself. The next morning when you wake up, I recommend getting up a little early to catch a desert sunrise over the Grand Canyon. It's a once-in-a-lifetime experience. You have a little free time on your own to explore the Hopi House or some of the other points of interest there at the South Rim, or just soak in the scenery a little bit longer before an afternoon return departure to Williams to continue your train journey. One fun feature on the Grand Canyon Railway return back, I should have mentioned this before, on the way out there are people on board playing music, there is food and such available on board. On the return journey, those same folks actually stage a little entertaining train robbery, fake train robbery on the ride back, so keep your eyes out for it. When you return to Williams, you have a chance to relax, maybe explore a little bit of the town itself, which I highly encourage. Lots of little diners and Americana, like I said, a little Route 66 town. Dinner is included for you at the Grand Canyon Railway Hotel, where you stay that one night. The next morning, you'll get up, you'll reboard the train to head back on towards Chicago. And I love getting on board at this time because you'll have a chance to make your breakfast reservation and enjoy your breakfast on the train for your last part of the journey home, watching the sunrise come up over the desert. It's an amazing experience. Keep your camera handy. You'll not want to forget it. And after that one-night journey, as I mentioned, you return back to Chicago and on to points home or beyond. That's Grand National Parks, folks, with Yellowstone, Yosemite, and the Grand Canyon. For those of you looking for a shorter experience or really want to focus on one of our single most popular destinations, our Glacier National Park Getaway round trip from Chicago is an extremely popular itinerary for us. Begins and ends in Chicago with a journey on the Empire Builder train route across the northern part of the United States. You travel overnight through the Lakes District as you head up through Wisconsin and Minnesota, through the Badlands of the Dakotas, on into the prairies of East Montana, then the foothills before arriving at the mountains at Glacier National Park. And again, we talk about city-to-city service and the convenience of traveling by train. Glacier National Park might be the single best example of this. You literally get off 209 steps from the front door of your hotel. Your baggage is whisked off straight to the hotel for you. You walk over, get checked in, and start soaking in that mountain air right away. Very, very hassle-free. Your 3 nights there includes amazing sightseeing opportunities. The Big Sky Circle Tour will take you out to explore the park by land. Traveling to some amazing spots like Logan Pass, Maria Pass. Hopefully some wildlife spotting along the way. The 2 Medicine Valley boat cruise that's included allows you to explore the park by water. So one of your other days, you'll actually get out and experience this from one of those pristine mountain lakes, sailing on board, spotting wildlife from shores, taking pictures of the amazing mountain scenery all around you. And after a few days of exploring this amazing treasure of America, you'll reboard the train for your overnight journey back to Chicago. Now, important thing to mention with the Glacier National Park Getaway round trip from Chicago is, like so many of our trips, it does not have to be from Chicago. This Glacier National Park Getaway can be made from pretty much any point in the Amtrak system, folks. So wherever you're coming from, we can help you. Now, one thing I like to point out is something people don't often know, and that is traveling on board a long-distance train route like so many of the ones we've been looking at today, all meals are included in the dining car meal times when you upgrade to sleeping accommodations on board the train. So we talked about the quality of food on board and what an amazing dining experience it is eating on board. When you actually upgrade to one of the sleeping compartments on the train, all those meals are automatically included and you're guaranteed reservations in the dining car. So important to remember there as you're planning your vacation for next year. Now, we've talked a lot about some of the national parks. One vacation package now available for 2018 that is a very, very popular itinerary year after year is our Jazz, Blues, and Rock and Roll, which cuts through the heartland of America from Chicago to Memphis to New Orleans with some wonderful music-oriented and cultural experiences included. So beginning with your 2-night stay in Chicago, you have a chance to explore this amazing city on a hop-on, hop-off tour we have included for you that will take you to some of the most popular spots, to Grant Park, to Navy Pier, pretty much anywhere you want to go. You can take some time to go stroll down Michigan Avenue and do some shopping, or keeping in time with the whole music theme of the trip, maybe take some time to visit the vibrant electric blues club scene here in the city. Also included is dinner at the Italian Village restaurant, one of my favorite places to go for dining experiences in Chicago. Some classic Chicago Italian fare. Now, after exploring Chicago, you're going to board one of the most famous train routes in America, the City of New Orleans, made famous in song. You will travel overnight from Chicago to Memphis. Those of you upgraded, you can relax on board in your private compartment, enjoying the journey down to one of America's most beloved music cities. You stop for 2 nights in Memphis. And you have plenty of time, folks, so if you want to take a stroll down Beale Street and listen to some live music there, visit B.B. King's, any of that you certainly have time to do, but we also make sure you don't miss out on any of the popular sites because we include a tour of the city that will take you in the history of it. You'll point out some of the major landmarks. It also brings you out to Graceland. You get to go see the home of the king with admission included for you and a chance to explore his life and his legacy at Graceland before returning you back to the city itself. From there, the journey continues south in the city of New Orleans. Not overnight, this is a daytime journey taking in a really interesting mix of scenery between Memphis and New Orleans. Whether it's traveling through some of the most lush farm country I've ever personally seen by train, or probably my favorite part of this whole train route is as you pass through Louisiana and approach New Orleans, you literally are traveling through the heart of the bayou. Green mossy trees, the pools, the wildlife, and then bending the train around pristine Lake Pontchartrain train and winding itself into New Orleans. This train journey is definitely not to be missed. And at the end of it is arguably the crown jewel of this trip in terms of destinations, which is a 3-night stay in New Orleans itself. And you really sample the best of New Orleans while there, folks. You're getting on board the Battlefield Cruise, which takes you down part of the Mississippi River to the Chalmette. You get to experience the city from the water that way. We also include a guided tour of the city of New Orleans for you, which will point out, of course, major points of interest in the French Quarter, the Garden District, lots of history and background of the culture of New Orleans. And really impressive and unique dining experience at this place called the Court of the Two Sisters, this classic French Quarter dining experience where you're literally down an alleyway. You really wouldn't even know this restaurant was there. It's got a tiny little front. But when you go in there, it opens up into this amazing vine-covered courtyard. You get to have a very, very delicious brunch with some of the best jazz music in the city playing while you're enjoying your meal. And, of course, plenty of free time for you to stroll the quarter or take any additional sights in on your own. Absolutely, I got to say, probably one of my favorite train journeys I've ever done. I highly recommend it for you folks heading into 2018. It is now available for you. That's Jazz, Blues, and Rock and Roll. One other did you know moment we should touch on. We talked about city-to-city center service and the convenience of that. Again, just a reminder, this saves you the time and expense of traveling and basically makes the whole experience that much more beautiful and relaxing with friendly service on board. So keep in mind, you could fly to some of these places, but it's not the same experience. It's nowhere near as relaxing or as convenient. Traveling by Amtrak is not just a beautiful sightseeing journey, it's a very relaxing one too. Now, another package I wanted to talk about today, now available for 2018 and very popular, is Charleston and Savannah. This package begins in Charleston or wherever you've customized your trip to come from. Starting with 3 days in one of America's most historic coastal cities with its wonderful antebellum atmosphere. You're going to have a chance to explore all its many neighborhoods, postcard-worthy Rainbow Row with all its colorful homes, the Battery, all the mansions south of Broad, as well as the sightseeing tour out to pristine Magnolia Plantation with its beautiful grounds. After 3 nights and some free time to explore Charleston, you continue south to Savannah for a 2-night stay. While there, we include a harbor cruise of Savannah, so you get out a chance to explore the city from the water. And of course, plenty of free time allowed for you folks to go stroll through the city's many green spaces and gardens or take in its amazing culinary scene. After your 2 nights in Savannah, you continue home by train, plane, or on to your next destination as we've designed the trip for you. Again, everything can be customized to suit your taste. Now, for those looking for a Pacific Northwest experience, I highly recommend Seattle, Vancouver, and Victoria rail journey, available now for 2018. This journey begins with a 2-night stay in Seattle, and we know the city has so much to offer, whether it's visiting Pike's Place Market, climbing to the top of the Space Needle to take in those amazing views, or just strolling and exploring the wonderful coffee shops and little kitschy areas of the city. It's a great destination to explore with some spectacular natural scenery too. We include for you the hop-on, hop-off trolley pass to get you in and around the city itself, take you to all these great sites you're going to want to see with a chance to get off and explore at your own pace at any of the many stops the trolley makes. And as we saw before, we do include for you admission to that Space Needle and the Chihuly Garden and Glass exhibit, which is definitely worth a stroll right at the base of the tower itself. Now, from Seattle, you'll board the Amtrak Cascades to head north to Vancouver. Enjoy the really fertile countryside and some of the views from the train as you make your way back up to Vancouver for a 2-night stay. The hop-on, hop-off city tour we include for you make it really easy to get around from areas like Robinson Street and Canada Place and really explore the waterfront. Again, hop off and spend time and dwell wherever you want to and then just reboard at your convenience. And also enjoy the great tour on board. The hop-on, hop-off experience also provides some wonderful background on the city you're experiencing. Also included here is a really unique a chance to explore outside the city, and that is admission to the Capilano Suspension Bridge Park. Some people don't realize that southern British Columbia is actually considered a northern rainforest with some amazing vegetation, really verdant spreads. You actually get a chance to walk at that park at the tree level. So you're literally above the ground, 40, 50 feet, with this chance to walk along and really see the ground from above, to explore the trees in and amongst the branches, to really take in the natural wonder of this area. And that departs, it's really easy to get to too. They have regular shuttle service right from downtown. So again, super convenient to take these vacations. After exploring Vancouver, we actually ferry you over to Victoria. Victoria is actually located in Vancouver Island, just a short distance by water from Vancouver. It is actually the capital of British Columbia, the province where Vancouver and Victoria reside. It is most famous for its quaint seaside atmosphere. It's a charming little town right by the water with an excellent waterfront, some waterfront dining options. Most people, some of the hotels in the area offer a classic Victorian tea, which a lot of people will try to take in while they're there. It also has a very British atmosphere, a very British charm to it. The hop-on, hop-off trolley tour we include here as well. Again, makes it really easy to get to all the most popular sites. We also include admission to Butchart Gardens. Butchart Gardens, for those of you not familiar, was once a stone quarry that was converted to a wonderful topiary garden. And they literally changed the displays by the season. So what you see there from 1 month even to 1 month, sometimes week to week, can be very, very different displays. All absolutely beautiful. very relaxing. They do have an afternoon tea there as well if you want to sit and spend some extra time just dwelling in that environment. And after spending some time there in Victoria, we transfer you back to either Seattle or Vancouver, depending on your preference, for your flight or train journey home, or to continue on to your next vacation. That is our Seattle, Vancouver, and Victoria rail journey, folks, a 7-day trip through the Pacific Northwest that is not to be missed. For those of you looking to explore a little bit of the East Coast by Amtrak Vacations, I highly recommend our Washington, D.C., New York City, and Niagara Falls journey. This trip begins with a 3-night stay in the nation's capital. Washington, D.C., it's one of those destinations, it's funny, 3 nights is an excellent amount of time because there's so much to see and do here in the city. We try to make it very easy for you. Your hop-on, hop-off tour included here. It means it's really convenient getting around the many museums around the National Mall, whether it's the National Archives or one of the many Smithsonians, the Museum of the Native American, or whether it's heading out to Arlington to go visit Arlington National Cemetery and that serene and amazing experience out in Arlington, all easily accessible by the hop-on, hop-off tour. Plenty of free time, of course, for you to spend time at these museums, to get to know them better, to visit the exhibits that most interest you. Also, one of my favorite parts of this tour included for you is the Monuments by Moonlight tour. So those white marble monuments, the Washington Memorial, the Iwo Jima Memorial, the Capitol Building, all these are beautiful by day, but to actually have a tour experience of these at night when they're beautifully illuminated against the night sky is a true bucket list experience. We include that for you as part of your tour. From Washington, D.C., you'll continue north on Amtrak to New York City. Your time there includes a hop-on, hop-off pass to get around the tour for the duration of your stay. So whether you were staying in Times Square, want to explore other parts of the city, go to Greenwich, go to Soho, anything you want to get to is extremely convenient by the hop-on, hop-off. Again, a great guided experience too. You're going to learn a lot about the Big Apple from the guides on board. We also include admission of some of the most popular attractions in the city with your New York City Pass. So whether it's getting into the Empire State Building or some of the other popular museums in the city, or the included ferry service to the Statue of Liberty and Ellis Island, which most everybody needs to do when they visit New York City, all that is included for you, as well as tickets to a Broadway show from a number of different selections on the list, including the most popular shows in the city and some of the hottest performances going on right now. After departing New York City, you'll continue north on the Maple Leaf to Niagara Falls. Your time in Niagara Falls includes an Adventure Pass. Adventure Pass is a very, very good benefit to have while you're there. It includes the admission to the WeGo transportation system, which basically links you to all the spots and attractions in and around Niagara Falls, Ontario that you want to see. It also includes admission to things like the Voyage to the Falls boat ride. So for those of you that want to get down on the water and have that iconic experience of getting up close to the falls and basking in the mist and the magnificence of the falls, that's included for you, as well as several other popular attractions in the area. And after your stay in Niagara Falls, you have the chance to extend your stay if you want us to customize it, or return home from there. It's up to you, folks. That's our Washington, New York City, and Niagara Falls rail journey. 9 days up the East Coast through the best cities and some amazing natural outdoor wonders. Now, it's a good point in the conversation to talk a little bit about onboard accommodations with any Amtrak vacations. We alluded to upgrades on board, traveling in coach, traveling in a sleeping compartment. Onboard accommodation is usually one of the first questions we get from people who want to travel with us. So we're going to detail a little bit of what those entail right here. So coach accommodations, the most common way, the way most people travel on board an Amtrak train is actually to travel in coach. We talked about there being no middle seat, and I think that picture really illustrates that well. It's all either aisle or window, folks. There's no bad seat in the house. You have the flexibility to get up and roam, to go down to the snack car, try to make reservations in the dining car if you want to eat down there for the evenings. If you're traveling with families, kids have the chance to get up and spend a little energy. It's a really relaxing way, and you can see from the image too, great big picture viewing windows to be able to take in the scenery you're passing. I've done this both during daytime trips and overnight trips. It's a very, very comfortable way to travel, and the most common way people do. Now, people who want to upgrade to sleeping accommodations, the first level of sleepers on board is the roomette. Now, the roomette is a cabin for up to 2 people. During the day, you have a pair of seats, nice viewing window, fold-out table to set up on. I had also mentioned with the sleeper accommodations on board, whether it's this or the next class that we're going to look at, is that anytime you're traveling in an upgraded compartment on board, the cost of your meals is already included in the price of the ticket. It's very convenient. Those traveling in a roomette also have access in their car to the shared but private shower and bathroom facility in the car for the sleeper passengers only, the roomette passengers only. And at night when you're ready to sleep, the car attendant will come down, set up the sleeping area for you, and allow you to rest comfortably on board. Now, bedroom accommodations. The bedroom itself is the next class up from roomette. The bedroom is also for up to 2 people sleeping on board. During the day, you have your seats in there as well, fold-out table accessible. All your meals are included. And one big difference between the roomette and the bedroom is that those traveling in the bedroom actually have the private bathroom and shower facility in their compartment rather than the shared but private one in the car for the roomette passengers. So that is an advantage some people prefer. And again, plenty of great views from the train window right there. And again, the other part is room to roam. So even though you have your private sleeping accommodations, you do not have to stay in them. You can go down to the observation areas, go down to the lounge car, anywhere you want to go. You're not confined to your space for any part of the trip. You can see people relaxing on board. I always find the train can be a very relaxing experience or it can be a very social one, depending whether you want to interact with some amazing people also sharing this journey with you. We talked about dining on board the train. This is probably the most, in some ways, the most surprising part of traveling on board. Every one of us who's traveled by airplanes regularly understands that, dining on board airline is a very kind of iffy experience, whereas on board the train, you're literally talking about fine dining in a lot of ways. Steaks, salads, I mentioned before, omelets for breakfast. Really, really amazing food on board. Salmon, I can't say enough about it. You're going to really enjoy that. And we talked about, we talked a little bit about different destinations and packages and the onboard train experience. To learn more about our packages and any kind of Amtrak vacations, please visit the website of amtrakvacations.com. Click on our Destinations tab to take a look at these and many, many other popular destinations for Amtrak vacation trips. We talked earlier about how to book, but I figured I'd mention again, for those of you interested in planning your 2018, and these packages are available now, feel free to reach out to us at 1-800-AMTRAK2. That's 1-800-268-7252. You can also visit our website at amtrakvacations.com or work with your local travel agent to help you book your vacation. We're happy to help them with it. I also wanted to mention some everyday discounts that are available for anybody booking. Those of you who are members of AAA can save up to 10% when using your AAA card. Children ages 2 to 12 receive a 50% discount on the rail portion of an Amtrak vacations trip, as well as discounts for seniors and military personnel. I also mentioned at the beginning that there would be an exclusive attendee discount for anyone on this call who took the time to sit with us. And again, thank you for learning a little bit more about 2018 Amtrak vacations packages. Anybody who upgrades to a sleeping accommodation on board their rail package, so long as you book by September 13th, will receive an additional $100 per couple, $50 per person discount. Again, you want to book by September 13th, 2017, using the webinar promo code webinar NEW0830, which you see featured there. And of course, will be available in the downloadable presentation you see attached to your screen there. So feel free to download any portion of this presentation, jot down that promo code, and make sure to mention it when booking with us. Now I want to take the time to run through a few questions from everybody. Thank you again for taking the time to learn a little bit more about the packages, but I know a number of you have some questions from the field that we want to talk about, so let me go ahead and begin by addressing a few of those for you now. One great question from Jennifer out there was, are transfers included between hotels or some of the tour inclusions in Battleground Cruise? So great question, are transfers included? Most packages will not come with transfers necessarily included right off the bat for you. However, they certainly are available in most cases as a customization you can do to your trip. That being said, because the train itself arrives to the heart of these destinations, And because your hotels are located centrally convenient to most of the sightseeing, in many cases you'll find you really don't need them. For example, staying in New Orleans, you had mentioned, Jennifer, being about the Chalmette Battlefield Cruise. You're located just blocks from all the sightseeing you'd want to be with anyway. So to answer that question, yes, we can certainly add those to vacation packages most of the time. In many cases, you'll find you really don't need them. We had a question from Paul. Can I depart from my local station in California for one of your national parks trips? Great question, Paul, and thank you very, very much for this one. We talked a couple times about how easy it is to customize and the 500 different Amtrak departure points. If you want to take one of these trips and it doesn't seem like it starts right from your hometown, just so you know, it absolutely can. Whether it's a variation on some of the trips we've looked at today that begin from different points in the system, or adding rail to or from your hometown, or whether you choose to fly to or from your trip and just do the rail journey throughout the middle. All those make it possible to do any of our trips really from any point on the system. Now, some people had asked, can I work with my local travel agent? I've been working with a travel agent for a number of years. Yes, absolutely. I had mentioned when you go to book, you can work with one of our agents directly, or we're happy to work with your local travel agent. Whoever it is you're willing to work with, we're more than happy to assist them in booking your vacations. Had a great question from Sarah in regards to coach class. Are there assigned seats, or is it a first come, first serve? Good question, Sarah, and thank you for that one. The coach accommodations are not set assigned seats, meaning it's first come, first serve. So if you're group boarding with like your family of 4, you don't have to worry about like I couldn't find a seat here. That you literally get on and grab the seats you want, sit wherever you feel most comfortable. You have that kind of flexibility. It's not really so stringent that you have to be assigned to seat 1A or what have you for the duration of your trip. Cabin's a little bit different. Of course, you're booking into a specific cabin when you're traveling on board. Another question from the field. Are upgrades to sleeping accommodations always available? Great question. Any of the long-haul train routes, any of those that travel overnight will have sleeping accommodations available on board, whether it's the roomettes or the bedrooms that we talked about. Most passengers will still travel in coach, which is a very comfortable way to travel. But for those interested in the sleeping accommodations on board, just a couple reminders. Again, all meals are always included, which is a huge advantage. And one thing I always like to mention is that they are very limited in number. So anybody looking to book, especially as for one of these type of trips, some of these really popular itineraries for 2018, keep in mind they are limited in space, and the rate actually does go up as the space sells, kind of like airline tickets. So definitely get ahead of that, and you want to grab your space early if you're looking to book for 2018. Great question from Russell. Russell had asked, for cabins, is one side of the train better than the other for the National Parks tour? I can tell you this, both sides of the train are excellent because most of these tracks are running through the heart of the wilderness itself. There isn't a better or worse experience. So let me kind of share my most recent scenic journey on the train with you. So when I had mentioned earlier traveling up to the Canadian Rockies on Via, at any given moment, either side of the train is going to provide you both some amazing experiences of the landscape itself or the chance to spot wildlife. For example, on that trip, I saw 3 different bears as we were getting close to Jasper, one out one side and 2 out the other. Saw lakes on both sides, falls on both sides at different points of the train. So really, there's no bad seat for some of these journeys through the country. So great question, Russell. So another question that came from the field is, can we get off anywhere along the track and stop? And that was from Denise Cheek. So Denise, great question. You can get off at any point you want to customize the trip to. There are regular breaks where the train will make a longer or shorter stays. That being said, if you want a chance to explore those destinations with any kind of real time, what you'll want to do is just either have one of our consultants set you up with a package that stops there for a night or 2 to explore, or we can customize a trip if it's something that's a little bit different than our usual range of products. So if you have a special destination in mind you want to get off and spend some time at and explore, we can certainly make that happen for you by customizing your trip or by finding you the right itinerary. Question from the field from Edith. Is it easy for disabled individuals to use the sleeping option and get around on the train? Thank you, Edith, for this question. It means we have this does come up periodically. The trains are very accessible to begin with. There is also a sleeping accommodation that we did not detail in our general rundown of the most common that is available for people with mobility challenges, and that is the accessible bedroom available on the overnight sleeping trains, where you have the chance to stay in a room that's actually specifically designed for any kind of mobility challenges. That being said, the train is very accessible, generally speaking. Is there an AARP discount? Question from Lindy. Again, any seniors, regardless of AARP membership, are eligible for discounts on the train portions of their trip. Question from Kyle. do all vacations have a tour guide? So let me say this, most of our vacations are independent journeys. What that means is you're not traveling in a group with a guide who's there with you from start to finish. What you do have included in almost every rail journey, however, is guided sightseeing experiences in the destinations that you are visiting. So for example, if you're taking our Jazz, Blues, and Rock and Roll trip that we had talked about, from Chicago to Memphis, New Orleans, you're not traveling with a tour guide from start to end, but in each of those cities, when you explore Graceland and the best sites in Memphis, for example, that is locally hosted by a guide who is an expert. Takes you around with the group to see all the most popular things and give you the experience you want to have. So hope that answers that question for you. Another question from the field. Can you bring a bottle of wine on board, from Kathy? Yes, you definitely are allowed to bring some of your own items on board. We had talked about generous luggage allowances. You'll find that most people are entitled to bring on overnight trains 2 carry-on bags, and at least 2 check-in bags as well. And whether that's bringing a bottle of wine for a special occasion, absolutely no problem. It's a very, very common request. One last question to the fields. I know that time is running down on this one. From Kyle again, can you go to various cities, or does it have to be included in a package? Great question. So the packages that we have, this is just a small sample, what we covered today, of what we offer and what's available for 2018. So if you're seeing something not on this list that you had an interest in, it's very likely we already do offer vacation packaging there. If it is something that you don't see in our packaging, it does not mean we can't customize the rail journey to include it for you. We have lots of flexibility and options. So great question, Kyle. Yes, we can largely make these trips to be whatever you want. These are our top recommendations, but really we have so many options and so much variety in terms of selection that I don't want anybody to feel like this is all there is to offer. Absolutely not. There are literally hundreds of variations on this, and we can certainly customize to meet your needs. No question about that. So thank you, everybody, for your questions. I did want to go ahead and take this time to announce the winner of our $100 gift card. The winner of our gift card is Sherry Capello. Sherry, congratulations on your Amtrak Vacations gift card. We'll be in touch very shortly to provide that to you to help you book your vacation for next year. Before we wrap up, I did want to mention a couple last reminders. Number one, this presentation is available as a downloaded content from this presentation. So feel free to go ahead and download that copy and revisit any of the points or itineraries we discussed today. Also want to remind everybody that exclusive attendee discount is available to you for anybody upgrading to sleeping accommodations on a rail package. That is $100 per couple, $50 per person, as long as you book by September 13th using promo code webinar NEW0830. Folks, again, thank you so much for taking the time. I've really enjoyed being able to share some of our most exciting vacations now available for 2018. I hope you'll join us again soon, and most importantly, I hope you enjoy your rail vacation package with us in 2018. Thank you, have a wonderful day, and we'll see you soon.